Building great communities where people can thrive starts with a robust workforce, one where connections create opportunity and preparation translates into success. The Tampa Bay area offers diverse opportunities to build a great career and a promising future for individuals and their families. In fact, many organizations offer training and apprenticeship programs in order to build long-term careers. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what's available to them and are stuck in dead-end or low-paying jobs with little hope for the future, and employers are often left understaffed and unable to grow. Workforce Development Partners is working to change all of that. Through our signature programs like the Future Career Academy and Best Florida Jobs, we're creating life-changing opportunities for individuals while helping companies grow and providing an economic catalyst for our community. Preparing and connecting students to great jobs and training opportunities is the primary mission of the Future Career Academy, Workforce Development Partners' flagship program. What began as a grassroots initiative at one area high school now serves thousands of students at all 37 Hillsborough County high schools, the 7th largest school district in the country. The program creates a powerful link between the jobs that local businesses offer and the many committed, driven, and energetic high school seniors ready to work. The Future Career Academy is designed to equip these students with the tools and resources they need to thrive beyond graduation, putting them on the path to in-demand, living wage jobs with long-term career growth and sustained employment. 9th through 12th graders are supported with workforce development curriculum modules to help learn soft skills while building a plan for employment, enlistment, or enrollment. The curriculum, with input by the business community, includes budgeting, aptitude assessment, industry exploration, career choice planning, and professional development. This is designed to give students the tools they need to succeed in the workforce and beyond. The program kicks off the school year with a series of interactive business panel discussions for seniors at each high school, where leading employers engage students to build a better understanding of local companies and career opportunities available to them in their community. Next, students attend business tour field trips to local employers as they learn firsthand about diverse industries and career growth opportunities right in their community. The students then prepare to participate in our Future Fair hiring events in April, where they can engage with leading companies, apply for jobs, and possibly be hired on the spot. Breakout sessions are also offered where students can learn from community and business leaders about life skills and how to further advance their careers. The culmination of the Future Career Academy's experiences are the annual signing days. Students who have secured employment, enlisted in the military, or enrolled in a training program are celebrated with much fanfare by school personnel, their new employers, their peers, and family members. Workforce Development Partners recognize an opportunity to also engage with adults seeking meaningful careers, understanding the need for both talent and opportunity in the local workforce. In response to this, Best Florida Jobs was created to lift the community as a whole while also helping to round out employers' hiring needs. The program hosts the Best Florida Jobs Power Hour hiring events, where job seekers can engage with local employers, training organizations, and career development specialists. Year-round resources are also available online. We are grateful for our partnership with the school district, government agencies, employers, and our many community-based partners. Together, we are building a stronger community and are truly changing the paradigm of what success looks like. No debt, a great job with a thriving company, and a career path ahead is truly the American dream.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Yvonne Pry. I am so excited to welcome each of you here today to join us for our second annual Workforce Development Summit. Our goal today is to bring insights, innovation, and inspiration so that together we can build a stronger, more resilient community. Our mission, as you just heard, how about that video? It's the debut of our overview video. Raise your hand if you were in it. Anthony, I saw your spot. Yep. Yes, yes. Many of y'all are featured, and we're so grateful for each of you. Our mission is to create life-changing opportunities for youth and adults while helping companies grow and providing an economic catalyst for our communities. We do that. I'm going to start out with where I need to give credit. We do that with a small but mighty team. If you are a part of our team or one of our board members, would y'all stand? Yes. Thank you. The theme of today, beyond the stronger, more resilient communities, is going to be partnership. Everything we do is about partnership. I never want to travel by myself, and I'm so grateful as I look out of each of you that represent so many that we already get to work with in joining in our mission. You're going to hear from a variety of types of partners today, and if you're not already plugged into our work, I hope you see a way today that you can plug in and you can be part of our mission as together, you're going to say this with me, we're building stronger, more resilient communities. Yes? All good for that? Thank you. And I will say one other thing that we always think about is shared outcomes and impact. When we realize that we're all working on a continuum around the same goal, it's not about who gets credit, it's about actually getting the work done and changing lives, right? And with that in mind, I want to acknowledge first our host location here, Feeding Tampa Bay. Is this beautiful? Raise your hand if this is the first time you've been here. Thomas! Yay, mission accomplished right off the bat. I love it. I'm a fangirl of Thomas Mance, right? Anybody else in here? A visionary leader, yes, and is obviously working in the same space that we are, just again, along that continuum. I'd like to ask Thomas to come up because I felt it was very fitting for our host today to come and offer a welcome as well. I'm glad that all of y'all are here. And while he's coming up, please enjoy the salad buffet today that their team has offered to you on the table. Thomas.
Thanks, everybody, and welcome. I don't know how you follow that, but I'll do my best. I think, as I was standing out in the lobby and then coming into this space, I was thinking, this is everything that we envision Causeway Center to be. This is why we built this place. For those of you that don't know, there's a big food bank back there. There's also a restaurant, and there's a grocery store, and there's a medical clinic, and neighborhood services, and classrooms. But we built this because we thought we wanted to create a place where community could come together. What I love about every single person in this room is we come from disparate backgrounds. We have different wants, needs, opportunities, but all of us have one thing in common, and that's the desire to see our community be better for our presence in it. That we understand that there's a person out there today who needs us to step into their lives in a really meaningful way. I sometimes lament what we've seen perhaps for some time, which is the deification of the I and the forgetting about the we. Every single one of us has had someone step into our lives and help us in a meaningful and important moment. All of us have had someone come alongside and say, you know what? I can help you through this. I can offer you something. And I think when I think about the work that Yvonne is doing, it's making sure that someone comes alongside another human and says, there's a pathway forward for you. And so Causeway Center and Feeding Tampa Bay at our core is about that idea and that moment. Our vision for the community our vision for our organization is thriving communities today and for generations to come. What you don't hear in there is food. Food's important, but we want thriving communities. We're really excited to be a part of this. We're excited to partner with Yvonne. We're excited to be the host venue for today. Our hope out of this is really simple, is that all of us walk out of here today and figure out how to make the lives of those around us better. We often talk about this season as now is when I remember to volunteer, or now is the time for us to be grateful. We generally would offer this thought. We don't have an opportunity to serve, we have a responsibility. Those of us to whom much has been given, much is expected. And so I hope coming out of this, all of us walk out with a firm resolve to say, let's make our community better for our presence in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. And thank you to your whole team. Would your table stand and be recognized also? And there were so many more hands that were involved with the preparation and service of our meal today. Would y'all give them a big round of applause? Thank you. Up next, I want to recognize our government partners. We are so thankful. You know, everything we do is about those life-changing opportunities. And these are public opportunities in service that we are so grateful for. And I take a minute and I think about the careers and impact that those organizations have in our community, and I'm very grateful for them and that they offer those to our students and adults as well. And I'm gonna, I want to ask Commissioner Myers to make her way this way. She's going to offer a few remarks, but I do want to also mention a few other of our elected officials and or their office that's representing here today. In addition to Commissioner Gwen Myers, Hillsborough County Clerk of the Court Cindy Stewart, Tampa City Councilwoman Gwen Henderson is on her way from City Council, and we look forward to welcoming her when she's able to arrive. Senator Rick Scott's office is here. Thank you. Congresswoman Laurel Lee's office. Daniel, thank you for being with us. Congresswoman Kathy Castor's office as well. Thank you. Mayor Castor's office. Marley, you're here. Thank you for being with us. Hillsborough County Supervisor of Elections office is here as well. Yes, back in the back. Thank you. And of course, Hillsborough County Sheriff's office is, we are safe today. Yes. And Florida Department of Health as well. Nazneen, thank you for your partnership and all that that entails. And then Florida Department of Transportation as well. We're grateful for your opportunities that you bring to our students and adults. One big round of applause. Did I miss anybody? You know, that's the grave, you know, what everybody's scared of on that one. But Commissioner Myers, would you come and share a few thoughts today? Thank you for your tireless advocacy on behalf of the community and your partnership for our program. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Yvonne, because it takes a visionary to believe in well-attended today. Good morning. I'm County Commissioner Gwen Myers, representing District 3. I'm honored to be here today because when we talk about building a better, stronger workforce, it's Yvonne Fry and her team. We just show up. Think about it. We as employees, we just show up. Because of what you believe in our future leaders, by having career fairs, job fairs, field days. I've been to all of them. But the unique part about it, Hillsborough County government, we've hired over 20 of the youth from the community. Because everyone cannot go off to college. Some don't want to go into military. But Yvonne brings in so many employers to say, pick and choose your opportunity. And I always tell them, if you do a good job, it can be a career for you. And so as I talk with our future leaders, our youth of the day, I say, pretty, where are my pretty girls? Raise your hand. And they raise their hand. I say, you know, pretty has to work. Where's my handsome men? They raise their hand. I say, you know, handsome has to work too. And that's all a part of it. We can be pretty and we can look handsome. But you want some of that money yourselves in what you want to do in life. And you get your start with the Future Career Academy. So Yvonne, I thank you so much and your team. The team, I thank you too, okay? Because even just yesterday, we were on a call trying to make things better in Hillsborough County for our youth. So thank you so much for having me this morning, and continue the work that you're doing on behalf of Future Career Academy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers, and you're the real deal. We're so grateful for your passion for our youth and your partnership and showing up. If you have not been to one of our events, you have got to come out. You can't even imagine unless you've been there. Is that right? That's right. Yes. Yes. Nathan just gave an amen on that one too, didn't he? Yes. You got to be there. I missed one of our elected offices that are here. Senator Marco Rubio's office is here as well. We're really grateful. Thank you. Yes. And thank you for your grace on that one. I want to go now to some other folks that we couldn't do this without. Remember, partnership is the theme? We have a lot of different types of stakeholders. We're really grateful for that. And our annual program sponsors are those that participate with us throughout the entire year. And from what we described of our business panels, business tours, hiring events, we work with several hundred, but these are some of our financial stakeholders that we're really grateful for to help us be sustainable. If you're represented with one of these logos, would you stand and be recognized? We're really grateful for your support and partnership. Thank you. And I also want to recognize today our summit sponsors for making this event today possible. We are really grateful for the convening, the opportunity for the conversation that we're going to have with some esteemed thought leaders in our community, and for making sure that we can do this today at this beautiful venue. If you are one of our summit sponsors affiliated with these organizations, would you stand and be recognized? Thank you. And I do want to ask Dr. Larissa Baya to head this way. HCC, I'm going to say a couple things. You can come up here with me. I want to say a couple things. HCC helps us in such incredible ways as the training partner. I mean, it's unbelievable the reach that you have throughout the county, the diversity of types of training programs that you have. I want to tell y'all a secret that for those that y'all that don't know, we never say school or training to the kids. We say how to make more money. And their heads whip around and they're willing to listen. And when the employers talk about how to make more money and are often, most all the time, investing in those training programs and supporting that with their employees, it's unbelievable what can happen and how much success we can see as they grow a career. We couldn't do this without you. And Dr. Baya, thank you for being with us and your continuous support throughout the year. Give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for this opportunity. I think many times we see the value of this work, but Yvonne, you bring us all together, and I think that matters, to be in the same space and to be able to foster the relationships that allow us to collaborate. My name is Larissa Bahia, and I have the honor of serving as the HCC Ybor City campus. There are a number of my colleagues here today, including some other campus presidents that I want to recognize, and I just want to tell you a little bit about HCC for those of you that may not be as familiar with our reach. So 5 comprehensive community college campuses throughout the Hillsborough County area, over 200 areas of study, and 70 plus workforce programs. Last year, we served more than 45,000 students in Hillsborough County. And so that gives you a little bit of a sense of our reach. Those students include adults that are working on certificate programs to go straight into the workforce or to grow in their current positions, and everything in between, including 16-year-old high school students who are doing our dual enrollment programs. And last year we had about 8,000 of those throughout our county. I want to speak a little bit about our workforce programs, because sometimes people are familiar with our transfer programs, and I know USF is here, and USF is a good transfer partner with us, so thank you, USF. But our workforce programs, these are certificate programs that are 1 year, a year and a half, that put people into the workforce and ensure an opportunity for the type of thriving community that we heard Tom Mann speak about earlier today. 84% of our graduates stay right here. They live in Hillsborough County, and that means that we have the opportunity to make significant impact in the communities in which we live and serve. So I want to urge our employers, I'm going to put out a challenge here, Yvonne, if you'd let me, and it's about taking advantage of this opportunity. We hear from our employers very frequently, particularly employers that bring in employees in the trades, that they're understaffed and that they can't find skilled employees. And so what we want to say is that we know there are individuals all throughout our county, high school students, young adults, a little bit older adults, that absolutely can take advantage of better economic opportunities for them and their families. And so how we do that is by partnering. HCC is in a position to respond to not just the skills that you see needing in your employees today, but in the future. And that's what we have to think about, not just today. 5 years, 10 years in the future, what are the skills that the employees that you are going to need and your industries need? And so we are open to having that conversation. We're here to be responsive, and we hope that to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, HCC. Would y'all stand up? Anybody that needs to connect with them today about training programs for your organization, they are here, and you need to see one of these folks today before you leave. Deal? No excuses, right? We want to make sure that at some point in the very near future that we are actually solving the workforce crisis, and it takes all the different aspects of this. So thank you to HCC for all that you do across each of the campuses. We are very grateful, of course, for what you do and in partnership with us. I want to switch gears for a second. Our organization, in partnership with the Hillsborough County School District, gives out an award annually. We started this last year. I want to give you a little bit of context on this. Future Career Academy, as a program, started as one job fair. It started at Plant City High School in 2015. The business community said, we want to get in front of seniors before they graduate. With urgency, they wanted to make sure that they could connect them into the workforce before bad things happened in their lives, decisions that they were made, and so on, that precluded them from their greatest success. And the leader that was at that school at the time is Susan Redmond Sullivan. She is one of the most extraordinary women that I've ever known in my life. She is an incredible leader and always did and imparted to me what we live by, which is what's right for kids. So last year, whenever we, in partnership with the school district, said we wanted to reward that mentality. We want to foster that. We want to make sure that that's recognized and celebrated. We gave her the inaugural award. She's retired at this point and enjoying grandbabies and living her best life, but her legacy lives on in so much of our work, and we're really grateful for her and what she has imparted. And so this year, I'd ask Chris Jargo to come join me. Chris is the Director of Career and Technical Education for the school district. He's going to introduce this year's award winner and talk a little bit about this distinguished leader. Chris, give him a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. When I first met our reckonee, he was promoted from an assistant principal to a supervisor in our district office at charter schools. And I was very impressed with him. I got to work with him a number of times, and I thought, well, this is a great leader. He's going to move up the district office chain. And then a couple of years later, I learned that he went back to being an assistant principal. And I had a conversation with him about that, and he said he loved working at the school, and he saw himself moving up to become a principal. And just a couple of years later, that is exactly what happened. And it's no shock to me, because he's currently the principal of Brandon High School, and I had a chance one time to walk the school with him, and I was amazed walking down the halls how the students respected him, how the teachers said hello to him and talked to him and had a collegial relationship with him. And I was actually a student of Brandon High School, a graduate in 1997, and I was a teacher at Brandon High School. And if he had been my principal, I would have thought it'd been really cool. I would have loved to have him. Of course, as a student, respected him, and as a teacher, I would have loved the fact that he would have been my boss. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of our greatest supporters of the Future Career Academy, Dr. Jeremy D. Klein, the principal of Brandon High School. He's the winner of the Susan Redmond Sullivan Award for Future Career Academy. If you have a chance to go to Brandon High, it looks beautiful. It had a facelift recently, and through his leadership, it is on the way to continued success. And I really appreciate the fact that he is the leader of my alma mater. So, Dr. Klein, thank you for all you've done for Future Career Academy, and continued success.
A small token that will fit in your office. of our gratitude and admiration for you as a leader. You have so many great peers, but you definitely stand out amongst all of them for what you do for kids. Would you like to say a few words?
All right, thank you. Yvonne, thank you. Chris, thank you. So I said be careful. When I get the microphone, I can pontificate forever. So I do want to say that ultimately, I was talking to Yvonne a couple of weeks ago when our district held our first family and community engagement event at Brandon. I said, how's it going? And I'm like, you want the real deal or you want the company line? And I say this to say, my friends, the work is hard in education. And I would say harder now than it has ever been. But being at Brandon is a constant reminder of the why of the work that we do. I'm very, very proud that we are one of only 2 high schools in the district to be a community school. I have Lauren Leto here, my community school coordinator. And so what that really means is, how can the community support the work on campus? How can the campus support the need of the community? So that reciprocal relationship is huge. I'm a huge believer of exposure, exposure, exposure. So Future Career Academy is exactly that. I'm not naive to think every one of my kiddos, now 1,900 on campus, are going to go to college. So the exposure that Future Career Academy creates for them to realize that for all of you, there's major work opportunities is huge. Standing here, we have Big Brothers Big Sisters, one of our partners, Feeding Tampa Bay. We have Baycare. We have other folks here. So that partnership is huge, not just with the work that you're doing, but each and every day, the opportunities that this is creating is beyond powerful. Lastly, I will say, if it helps one kid figure their life out differently, then FCA is doing its job. And so having the opportunity to be at those hiring events are huge. Sarah, thank you for your partnership each and every day, because it wouldn't be at Brandon without the support of that. So on behalf of all schools in Hillsborough County, I accept this award on behalf of each and every one of them, and very, very thankful to all of you for providing opportunities to our kiddos day in and day out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Klein. And Lauren, thank you for being here and what y'all are doing to reach out and connect with the community. I'm going to take a minute. He just called out Sarah from my team. Would Sarah and Ayla please stand for a second? These are 2 very distinguished educators that have joined our team. They've been with us for about 1.5 years. The 37 high schools, they split them in half. They directly support the development and deployment of our curriculum. They work to support principals, counselors, teachers, and of course students directly. And all of our events on the school side, these 2 coordinate. They are absolute rock stars, and I'm in awe of them every day, and they fill my bucket of the stories of the interactions that they have with the kids. It's unbelievable. They're in schools right now every day doing promos for our business tours, and it is unbelievable what's happening in our schools. It's so great. Good news on the forefront for everybody. Just wanted to share that and acknowledge them. Thank you. So our shared focus here is student and individual success, and we have a lot of stories. We have a lot of stories. And we had to say today we wanted to share one. How do we even begin to do that? But there's one you'll figure out. We chose pretty well today. And I want to direct your attention to the screen to learn a little bit more about Daniela, who's here with us. And we're going to bring her up and some other folks here in a few minutes. But first, let's hear her story.
So my name is Daniela Villanueva Fuentes, and I'm a transporter at the South Florida Baptist Hospital with Baycare. When I first arrived at Simmons, I only went there because I was a teen mom at the time. I didn't have hope, but I was directed in the right path.
So I walked into the lunchroom and she was with a group of students, and my typical, I always like to gravitate to where there's a crowd. And so I like to talk about my experiences so they feel comfortable talking about theirs, and Daniela was very willing to share her story.
I had a lot going on. We just finished getting out of COVID. We were starting to go back into school, and a lot of people change you when you get into your freshman year. And I was leading into the wrong path. The way he mentored me is little by little, we started growing a bond together, and then he saw potential in me.
we're thankful that the career force has included Simmons Career because we've got a lot of our kiddos that not necessarily may follow the traditional path of college, but they will follow the hands-on, that kind of being involved with things that they love to do.
So the day I got the phone call, I remember I was in school and I was in my 5th period and it was buzzing and I was so excited and I already knew that was my phone call. That's when I heard the lady that she was from South Florida Baptist with Baker and that about the hiring opportunity as a transporter.
We are a professional organization and we want to hire people that have the face of Baycare. She's a great smiling face. She great personality. She's always willing to help. Even times when we need others that call out, she's willing to step in. She's the first face from an imaging department that the patient sees, and she's the last face. So we really push that we have to make a difference in that patient's transfer and moving. She's a young woman, hardworking. She is goal-oriented. She is career-oriented. She has a smiling face. She's got the great personality, willing to always step up to the plate when we need her, and I would hire her in a heartbeat.
I would hope that, that she goes on and professionally gets her whatever degree she wishes to pursue, that she grows up to be a fantastic mom, and that she's gonna protect and care for her little one as much as we care for her.
Being a teen mom is hard. Trust me, it's really hard. You're gonna have times where you just want to give up. If you want what's best for you, you have to put all those things to the side and be a go-getter. So I have a little boy named Mateo. He is 2 years old, turning 3, and he's gonna have a mom that never gave up. And without the Future Career Academy, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at now.
Daniela, would you come up? I'd love for Sunday, her principal, and Baycare, would y'all come up and join her as well? Y'all give her a huge round of applause. She is one of the bravest, strongest, most resilient people I've ever met. There's a lot to her story that we didn't share, and she has overcome and made decisions that have changed her life. Come on up, we're gonna get a picture. Good, okay, thank you. I wanna share this is similar to what we do at the end of the school year after our hiring events. We do signing days where we bring the whole Baycare or the rest, the Florida Blues coming this year, like all the different teams. If you've hired someone, we get to go like the prize patrol and celebrate in a big way at the schools. HCC, we do this with y'all that are going into their programs. We want to change the paradigm of success, and that's what this is about. One by one, the impact in the lives that we can change, and celebrating that this is an incredible pathway to success. Very grateful for the opportunity that you've given and then what she's been able to make of that. One more round of applause. Daniela, thank you. We love you, darling. We've talked about partnerships. We've got one more that we're going to bring up. Mindy Murphy, with CEO of The Spring. She's been around with our program for a long time because there's such a natural synergy, but it has continued to develop, and I wanted her to share a little bit of reflection. Again, remember what we're trying to do? Everybody in here has a way to partner with us by the time we're done. Mindy's going to shed some light on a few other options.
Thank you, Yvonne. And as Thomas was talking earlier about someone coming alongside you, I flashed back to 12 and a half years ago at the Cracker Barrel on I-4 as Yvonne Fry came alongside me for the first time. I did not know her, but she believed in me and said, you can be the CEO of The Spring, and I will be forever grateful to you, Yvonne. Thank you. So the Spring at Tampa Bay is the Domestic Violence Center for Hillsborough County. We've been around for almost 50 years now, and we are so honored and grateful to be a partner with Workforce Development Partners. Part of what we do, we have a variety of services, but part of what we do is prevention work with young people. And Sophia Bullion, if you want to raise your hand, is over there at this table. She is our prevention manager. And so for many years we've been in the school system. That changed during COVID. It became harder because obviously we couldn't be in person. But Workforce Development Partners had a solution. And what I love most, so really I'm here to talk about why I love Workforce Development Partners so much. What I love is that they have an abundance approach to things, right? There is more room at the table for all of us. They are laser focused on our students. These are our kids in our community. And the vast majority of our kids are going straight into the workforce. And they're the first person, the first group to convene us all and say, hey, we've got to celebrate and be joyful about these kids, right? These are our kids in our community. And they're going to be taking jobs that are going to help make our community a better place. And we're going to celebrate them just like we celebrate the kid who gets the scholarship to play football at Tulane or the kid that goes off on an academic scholarship. We are going to pour into these children and let them know there is a bright and shining future right here in our community. And we're going to do it together, and we're going to get creative. And so over the years, they've gotten creative and brought us in step by step by step. It started a couple years ago with having some of our prevention team, our young folks, coming in and being chaperones on the business tours, right? You saw in the video that there are these amazing business tours throughout Hillsborough County. And we need lots of chaperones when those business tours occur to mentor the kids while they're on the buses, to talk to them about what they're about to see. And so we started with business tours. And then we started with future fairs. There is something called Life 101 at all of the future fairs. And that is an opportunity for one of our team members to talk to our young people about the fact that things like domestic violence, dating violence, can impact you in the workforce. They can impact you financially. They can impact your ability to hold a job. But there are solutions and there are opportunities. And so it gives us the opportunity to touch thousands of students that we would not otherwise be able to touch by being part of that panel each year. And we've loved that so much. I personally, the most joyful thing I get to do as part of Workforce Development Partners is to stand in that line as the kids are getting off the bus, and it's the gauntlet, right? And we're all there and we're cheering these kids, and you get to watch the kids coming through this line of people cheering for them, and you see the emotions go over their face. Some are looking at you like, why are you cheering and laughing and clapping and celebrating me, right? They're a little puzzled. Others own it, and they are high-fiving us as they go through that line to go into the first event. Others start very shy, but by the end of the line, they've gotten into it too. But what you see overwhelmingly is that these kids, a lot of them have never had someone celebrate them in the way that we are celebrating through this joyous, purposeful partnership that Workforce Development Partners has created for our kids, for our future of our community. I want to close by saying the most exciting thing, on top of all the other exciting things that have happened being part of Workforce Development Partners, is that we made our first hire. And Jailise joined us this past summer. So she graduated in June of 2024, and she joined us in our outreach services. And I didn't think it was possible. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think it would be possible to hire a kid out of high school into a professional role as an advocate to survivors of domestic violence. But it turns out it was, and Jailise is one of the most amazing young people I've come across. Sophia is nodding her head. I was with her all day yesterday. She approaches her job with joy, with conviction, with passion. She is the first person to offer to help. Yesterday, she must have offered 10 times to help. She was well trained through Workforce Development Partners and Future Career Academy to be just the kind of employee that I want more of. I would like 100 Jailises in my organization. And that was the added bonus of this partnership that's been formed with Workforce Development Partners. There is an opportunity for everyone in this room to get more involved than you currently are and to support this amazing organization. And I challenge you to be like the Spring of Tampa Bay and be like me and get involved in whatever way you can, because this is going to change the future of our community in so many ways for the better. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my name's Rick Lott. I'm the board chair, but before I was the board chair of this organization, I was the city commissioner for 18 years, and I was the mayor of Plant City for 11 years. So I'm going to kind of go back into a little bit, and we're going to go back to Susan Sullivan's office. And Yvonne, kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but this began in 2015, and it was literally 5 of us sitting in Susan Sullivan's office. And this was not the intention. I mean, it's amazing that that meeting in Susan Sullivan's office, which was the principal of Plant City High School, has now started in 2015, and here we are today at the magnitude that it is. But a lot of things organically happen, and when it organically happens, it means it's good. It has a purpose, it's working, and every year it organically improves. So that year we were sitting around in Susan Sullivan's office, and we're sitting here going, because all 5 of us, we had kids in the school system at that time. And we're noticing that our kids are, the ones that are, you had 2 types of, 2 groups. You had those that knew exactly what they were going to do. Either they were going to go work for the family, they're going to go to college, they're going to play a sport. They knew exactly what they were going to do. But we noticed that the majority of the students in our schools at that time wasn't sure yet. They were still looking. They still had that blank look on their face like, I don't know, I'm going to take this summer, I'm going to look into it. And so the first goal was simply to open up and teach them what opportunities were in our city. That was it. That was the number one goal. Because what we noticed when we interviewed them, they saw a lot of businesses, a lot of big buildings. We had a lot of industrial buildings go up in our community at the time, but they didn't know what was inside of them. They didn't have an opportunity to be able to meet the business leaders. They didn't have an opportunity to meet you. And so that first year, it began with just having an opportunity for the businesses to open their doors. The school system provided the buses, and we took all those kids that weren't college bound, and we said, let's go show you our community. And what we noticed from that point in time was they walked away going, wow, there's more opportunities than we realized. And from there, everything just started organically happening. Because then we had a business community fair where the business leaders, they came in and, we had a job fair. And what we noticed at that point in time, we were having to teach the students how to go up and shake hands, introduce themselves. Some things that you might think are basic, but not every child learns that in the home. And so then we learned we had to do resumes, and it just kept on growing and growing and growing till all of a sudden it became a part of the school system. And it's not to compete with the school system, it's there to complement the school system. And I want to compliment our school system, because this is something that would been very, very easy to say no to. It's something out of the ordinary. We're not able to do it for all the schools, so we can't let one school do it. But they said, go for it. Let's work with it. Let's give it an opportunity. And today it's in every high school in our school system. So Hillsborough Schools Board, thank you, and the staff, thank you for letting this be a reality in our school system. I'm grateful that it's in Hillsborough County, and hopefully it'll be in all the school districts throughout our state. So from the very beginning, you said, okay, so it started with 5 individuals. How did you afford to make this happen? It was simply, making phone calls, looking at the business community. We asked our business community to help fund it. We had that big ask, and we told them what the goal was, and they stepped up. We had the school district with a big ask. We had Hillsborough County's commissioners for a big ask, and putting together a private-public partnership, we're able to take the program, and in 10 years, it's grown from being 1 school to 4 schools, now to all 37 schools. Isn't that incredible? So what we're asking you here today is that just like we have the story of Daniela, there's many more individuals that need to have that opportunity, see that opportunity, get that call to Baycare or whichever business it is in our community. But thank you for everyone for supporting this program. But we're also here we have a big ask, and that ask is to continue to support us. If there's any way you can give us additional support, and if you don't have an opportunity or you haven't had the opportunity to support us in the past, we'd sure would love for you to support us going forward, because this program gives a kid hope. It gives them clarity of what the opportunity is in community, and it makes them feel like they're just as valuable as that child that is going to an academic scholarship or an athletic scholarship. They graduate with hope and opportunity, and knowing that in our community, they have a future. So again, thank you very, very much, and I'd like to turn over to Brittany Wilcox.
Thank you. You're not going to stay up here with me? I stood up here with you. Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Wilcox. I work for Workforce Development Partners. I'm honored that you're all here. We dreamed this up about we have so many great partners that come to our events and that hire our students or that work in the schools. And man, bringing everybody together, this is a great moment for us. And so part of what I would like to ask everyone to do, if you all can reach into the middle of your table, you will find a white envelope. And on that envelope, there are some cards that I'll give everyone a second to put their glasses on because I might have made them a little small. But also inside of the envelope, we have some pens for all of you from our from our wonderful partners at Florida Blue. They've provided us. So with that pen and that card, I want to give you a second to look at it, pass them around. And really, there are so many different ways that you all can be involved in the Workforce Development Partners and the Future Career Academy of what we're doing. So obviously, investing and being one of our sponsored partners are always an amazing way for us to be able to sustain and to grow. As Rick said, I would love to see this in every school across the state, and so we'll definitely need partners like you. But in addition to that, if your company can host a business tour, if you know of a company, man, they're always hiring, they can bring a bunch of students there, or that would be perfect for students right out of high school to get hired. If you know of anybody, if you would like to volunteer, there are a million ways that we would love to bring you all in and bring your friends in, your family, however we can continue to build this. If you would take a second, look that over, fill it out, or if you would like to contact any of us during this event or afterwards, we would love to just bring you all in closer. And so without further ado, it's now time for our wonderful panel. And so thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany and Mayor Lott. We are grateful for you. We do have a very robust conversation today, and I'm going to spread these out a little bit. I'm going to start by asking our moderator, Lizette Campos, to come up. Lizette had a distinguished career in the media for a long time, and then now is with the Tampa Bay Chamber. She's got a huge event tomorrow, and she's going to provide a little context of why she's the perfect moderator for, if our panelists would come on up this way as well, you are the perfect moderator for this conversation about stronger, more resilient communities. You have been through a lot personally and bring so much heart to this. And I'm going to let you introduce your panelists and get started. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for being here. I wouldn't say I'm the perfect panelist, but I am grateful to have the privilege to serve today as a moderator. I'd like to do the most important thing first, and that is to welcome our panel members who've given of their time. First of all, we want to welcome Colonel Anthony Collins of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. We have Nathan Jagee of Accenture Florida Market Leader. Hi. We have Philip Lee, who is the Market President for Florida Blue. We have Marcos Murillo, who is the Chief of Innovation and Strategic Planning at the Hillsborough County Public School System. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Girl Scouts of West Central Florida Woman of Distinction for this year, and the President and CEO of the Tampa Bay Partnership, Ms. Bemitra Simmons. Please take a seat. And as Yvonne said, I am the Strategic Director of Branding, Communications, and Marketing with the Tampa Bay Chamber. It is my privilege to be here today. I think that the thing that's most important for all of you to walk away with as you leave this beautiful building, congratulations to Thomas and the entire team, is that there is power that comes from belonging. And so when you are part of these wonderful organizations, so many of you are chamber member companies. I'm so proud of that fact. When you are a member, there is power in that. And when you share that power by engaging in these partnerships, it's our community that wins, right? And so when you hear from these experts and they're talking about the different ways that they have help to contribute, whether it's personally or by way of their organizations, please think of what can you do? What are some of the nuggets that you will hear today that you want to take with you and share with your team or share within your circles of influence? When Yvonne first asked me to serve as a moderator today, I I declined. I said, Yvonne, my life is a mess. I lost my home in Hurricane Helene, and my daughter's home, our home where my daughter was living, our second home, was destroyed by 5 feet of water. The clothes that I'm wearing today, except for my bras and my underwears, are not mine. They belong to my friend because she was concerned that I didn't have anything to wear today. And so I have been living out of a friend's place who've been kind enough to help us for 2 months, and basically living out of not even a briefcase, that's a fancy word for my duffel bag, that I evacuated my home with on September 26th. And so I think that as I look at this panel, and I am excited about the questions and the information that they're going to give us, I want you all to know that, there are a lot of people who are going through some really difficult moments. And just because we compartmentalize doesn't mean that we are okay. And it's okay not to be okay, because those are the moments when partnerships, when community leaders step in and say, let me help you. And they listen and they hear your needs. And it doesn't just blossom into something really special at that moment. It's actually something that continues to bloom and help other people because of the lessons that you learned from that particular partnership or that particular idea that came about. And so I urge you to lean in. We've got an amazing panel of experts who are here with incredible experiences. And so without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and launch into the questions. But again, I just want to thank you, and thank you, Yvonne, for convincing me to come. And I apologize for saying no at first, but I'm really glad to be here. Okay, so I'm going to stand because I've got some nervous energy, and then I can see everybody's faces. So the first question that I have, and it's same question for each of you, so feel comfortable just jumping right in. And everything is framed within the workforce and corporate context, right? And so the first question right out of the bat, how do you see, based on your experiences personally and also what you're seeing within your organizations, how did our community do during the recent storms? And I'll open it. Bimitra, would you like to start?
Sure. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay, great. First of all, thank you so much for having me. This is great. We're excited to participate. Also, I was a little disappointed that Mateo didn't come this morning. What a cutie pie. I think our community did we fared better than most. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us, as you just mentioned. There's a lot that needs to be done. I know so many of our municipalities are working very hard to fill in the gaps of what we need to do. About 3 years ago, the partnership released a report around resiliency and what our community needs to do to be prepared for a difficult storm. And what it basically said is that it's an all hands on deck opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to fill in the gaps from an individual perspective, from a business perspective, and from a local municipality perspective. But I think overall we fare better than most.
So first of all, thank you for having me, being part of this great panel. But during the hurricanes, it's the first time that the district experienced something this large, and then back-to-back hurricanes, in which we open our shelters to feed, open, and serve our communities as needed. But the partnerships were there. The continuous, just feeding them, making them feel welcome. I see our officers here from school security as well. They knew they did a lot of service to make sure that everyone was safe. But not only the shelters, and after that, and I know a lot of people still are struggling, trying to get back on track, but also the partnerships that we created, because I've been hearing the word partnerships from the moment I stepped into this building, and it is everything, that we can't do things in isolation, not even the district as large as we are. But how Hillsborough Education Foundation and other partners just stepped in just to go to the individual schools, helping individual families, but also our staff that suffered. just staff from the central office, staff in our schools. How can we get them to actually make them feel comfortable as they come to work every day, but also knowing the struggles that they were going through? How much can we provide? How much can we partner, communicate? And we're still doing work with everybody. We're still providing updates, and we're trying to get them to actually keep walking in a way that they have a smile every day. But without the partnership, how we opened up, how we actually committed, it was the first time at this highest of levels that we encountered. So we appreciate the partners, and we're proud of the work that we will continue to learn and do.
Wonderful. Philip?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Yvonne and team, for allowing me to be a part of this esteemed panel. Let me just share, I'm newer to the Tampa Bay region. My family and I relocated here in June, and to see the devastation that so many of our neighbors and residents have been dealing with has been tremendous. But I've been so impressed by the level of heroism, the individual acts, the business community, the public sector coming together to build a more resilient community. The one thing I think we all know is that the challenges that our neighbors and residents face don't go away, and they're only magnified. And it's a greater call for inspiration and responsibility that Thomas had talked about at the beginning, of all of us to really help elevate those needs, met and unmet, and we know many of them are unmet today for the people we're here to serve. I agree with Bamitra. I think as a community, we fared okay, but the cycle hasn't changed. People are still dealing every single day with the impacts of trauma. We talk about what that event has meant for them in personal loss and financial loss. But it's an even greater struggle. It's how do you try to deal with the personal dynamics of losing a home or being displaced, but still try to be back into whatever a normal course of life would look like. And so, in our organization, we've been very focused about the well-being needs of our community. I know we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'd say very impressed by this community for the level of resolve that everybody in this room and many others have displayed in terms of helping our neighbors, our residents, try to get to a more sustainable path. And so it's been impressive, and I want to thank the warm welcoming that this community has shown to me and to my family and to the organization at large.
And you'll find that the treasure in Tampa Bay is its people. It's
Absolutely
an amazing
is.
community of people. Nathan?
Just thank you, Yvonne and team, for letting me be here today. I think for me, it was obviously awesome to see the community come together. Accenture is a global professional services consulting company. We have about 2,500 people in Florida. And so one of the lessons learned for me, right? When big company, we've got a plan leading up to these hurricanes. We're on calls, we're preparing, we're making sure we know where our people are. During the hurricane, people are checking in via text and email and these things. What I wasn't prepared for was, and kind of what you were touching on, is, the aftermath, right? Once the hurricane passes, you start to check in on your people. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then you get to the first person who says, I lost my house.
Right.
Right? And there's no playbook for that. And so that was something that Chris Gestalter and I really were, hyper focused on, was how do we get a hold of and know of our people who have been heavily impacted. And it was great to see our own folks, leaning in and raising their hand to volunteer and support. And so, we're a technology company. We thrive on innovation, but we were working in Excel, just, mapping people's zip codes of who was impacted and who needed help. And it was just really amazing to see our internal employees come together as much as the community. But, that was a big eye-opener for me. It was just kind of what happens after. And I think we can all do a bit better job of that and preparing for storms, because they're not going away.
Thank you. Colonel Collins?
So thank you, Yvonne. Thank you to Workforce Development. Thank you to all the sponsors that made this event possible. But I think the key words that we hear today is resilience and partnerships. And for us in law enforcement, I think it was one of the very few professions where we actually physically still worked throughout the whole process of all the hurricanes. And not so much just worked. Nobody in our agency was able to be off. So from a workforce standpoint, we have to make sure that our employees are mentally sound, physically sound, and also their families feel safe when they go out, because You have to leave your wife, your kid, your spouse, whatever the case may be, to go out. I worked 28 hours straight the first day throughout the storm. Some of our employees worked days, no days off. They had damage to their homes. So just to make sure they're mentally capable to carry out the duties and protect the community that we serve. I could probably go on for minutes, and I will elaborate a little bit more before I get to the next question, but it's just, we have to be responsible for pre-storm issues, putting out information to the community to make sure they're prepared. Also, during the storm, us in law enforcement, we're selfless and we want to go out and make sure that everybody's safe, but there's a certain point during the storm that we can't even go out. Once the winds get to sustained miles of 40 miles an hour, we can't even go out, so we have to make sure pre-storm that we get the message out that, hey, make sure you either evacuate or you shelter in place, because there's going to be a certain point we can't get to you, even though we may want to. And then post-storm, what does that look like? How do we get our community restored back holistically? And then during the last storm, we work with Feeding Tampa Bay and a bunch of other organizations to put on an event in one of the underserved communities that we historically don't have issues with up in our, it's called Uptown now, but people historically call it Suitcase City. And we saw an area that never flooded to the magnitude that it flooded this year. So we partnered with a bunch of different organizations to make sure that those individuals in that community were made whole, whether it was commodities for their children, whatever they needed, to make sure we had to make them feel as comfortable as possible throughout this tragedy. So, and then our employees, we had employees who had damage. Over 40 employees who suffered significant damage. Some of them total losses. So they're still coming to work, not being able to go home in spite of having significant damage to their homes. But going back to the partnerships, there's multiple donors throughout the Tampa Bay area that came up with financial resources for our employees to have some kind of mental and physical peace of mind after going through that issue. So it's just multitude of different issues without taking up too much time, but I think it just goes back to how resilient and how the partnerships in Hillsborough County are paramount. And that's why this is one of the greatest communities to live, work, and play.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to also say just the communication. I think we did a really good job as a community between the county and the city. Lots of information going out, and I was on the Tampa Bay Chamber website yesterday, and they still have in a big red block banner above the website, hurricane relief resources, and I'm sure everybody saw all the different opportunities to volunteer or instructions on how to go and apply for aid, whatever it might be. So that's one thing that I was really, really happy to see, and it was heartwarming that the communication was clear, leading up to it, and then afterward, just all the resources that were available.
And that's really, the information is key, right? But there's so much of it that sometimes it's not very accurate, sometimes it's not true, or it's outdated. And so one of the things that all of us here on stage, our organizations have made a point of providing solid, updated information on assistance, on what are the latest advisories coming from our elected officials, what are first responders saying, as opposed to just saying something that may have no basis in fact or is even practical, right, for the person who is reading this. And so communicating, it's not just about the quantity, it's about the attribution and the quality of the communication. And so, and Colonel, when you talk about resilience and building that resilience, so many families, they think that they've got to do it alone, right? I have to do this, and so you never build resilience on your own. It's when you're surrounded by others, when people come in to help, and that's when you become stronger. That's when you become more resilient. And so it's very sad to see how so many people have not been able to rebuild their homes. We've not been able to rebuild our home. You're waiting for the insurance to come in, or if you don't have any insurance, what happens? And so meanwhile, there's mold growing on your wall. And so one of the things that has been so beautiful to see is how volunteers from different community organizations, including some of yours, have come into the communities, into these neighborhoods, and said, let me take a look at what you need. I can rip out your wall. I can, take out your drywall that's wet, that the mold is growing in. If you don't take it out, your kids are going to get sick. People vacuuming with dry vacs, helping them carry their lives out to the curb, and then taking the time to say, hold on, let me see if maybe we can save this. I'll wash this for you. Being compassionate. And so those are things that they may sound insignificant, but they only happen in community. They only happen when you're with other people. So resilience isn't a solo sport. It's something that you do with others. And so having leaders like all of you on stage that recognize that there is power in that belonging, there's power in working together, it really is what gives us a better shot at being resilient and coming out better on the other side. When you think about what your organizations are doing specifically in that workforce arena, building resilience, share with us some of the strategic ways that your companies, your organizations are doing now. Go ahead.
I'm happy to kick that one off. I think there's a lot, and I'm so inspired and proud of the audience and group that's assembled here for the commitment that everybody makes to workforce development. On the topic of resiliency, we're in the health profession. If you I had a friend, she got a diagnosis, and the immediate response is, well, here's what you need to ask of your provider. Here's what you should ask of your employer. Here's what you need to ask of the health system that she's accessing care in. We don't have, maybe to the point that's being raised, there's a lot of resource, but how do you mobilize those in a way that help people in a time of need?
That's right.
And I think one of the things we learned as an organization, and it's not a new learning, but how do you actually have definitive resiliency plans? We have made available to the community through our Florida Blue retail centers, and we have 5 here in the area. These are community centers. You don't have to have Florida Blue insurance to be able to access the support and services available. And inside of each of our centers, we have community specialists. The role of those community specialists are to help individuals. I don't know where to go. I'm not sure what resources are out there. I need somebody to talk to and kind of help triage and help assist and manage on my behalf. Over the last several months, our community specialists have had over 10,000 encounters with residents here in the region on issues of resiliency. We provide free to the public coaching, mental health and resiliency training and sessions to kind of help individuals in a time of need. And I think to the comments made about workforce development, what does that look like to our young men and women who today are struggling, who are seeing that in their home life? Thank you to the district and to everybody for getting them back together. But what does that look like in the long term? And so we've done a lot of programming, particularly in the schools, to help with the resiliency needed. And there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to support our young men and women today. But I would say for anybody in this room or anybody who has need, we have resources available. I'm looking at Ashley Rousseau on our team, who manages our health promotions area and can make those available to anybody. The last lesson learned was having the resources, but then being able to direct that to a specific either specialty provider or another. We need rapid access. Like, there's people out there, but how do you actually get to these services? And so we built a model 2 months ago where individuals now can speak with the clinician within 1 business day. And that was through post-Helene, post-Milton. People needed professional help. Once it was identified, where could they go to get access? And so developing pathways for rapid access was a priority, and something we learned kind of in the moment of how to bridge that for the residents who need it most.
I would say, the Tampa Bay Partnership has a little over 40 companies that invest with us that represent about 120,000 jobs in the 8-county region. And all of those employers, I can tell you the talent pipeline, workforce, is top of mind for every single one of them. It doesn't matter if it's a bank or a hospital or a healthcare company or financial services, a utility, it really runs the gamut. And from this workforce perspective, there's a couple of key things that have been going on that I think are really effective right now that we're seeing from the employers. Number one is looking at doing more skills-based and experience-based hiring, not throwing a 4-year degree requirement on every single job that's out there. The average resident we have about 34% of our residents hold a 4-year degree. but something like 60% of the jobs that are paying more than $70,000 have a 4-year degree requirement, but they don't all have to have a degree. And so that's one of the first things that the employers are doing. The second thing is everyone in here who at your organization will know, once you get an employee that is hardworking, that understands your culture, you want to retain that employee. You'd much rather retain that employee than have them go somewhere else. So we're seeing a number of our employers looking for ways to upskill their employees within their organization. So take them from a lower wage position, maybe get them a certificate or some type of certification that can allow them to stay within that organization. So those are a couple ways that I would say the partnership organizations are coming to bear from a workforce perspective.
Let me piggyback on that, Demetrix. That's great. I mean, Accenture's a almost 800,000 employee company globally, and we moved away from resume hiring, and it's all skills based, right? So if we can do it, you can do it. It's doable. And I think the other thing is, when we look around our clients across the globe, one of the biggest challenges they run into is this whole upskilling of their current workforce, right? Accenture's investing $1 billion over the next 3 years through a program called LearnVantage, where we're going to bring that to our clients and really help them upskill their existing workforce on emerging technologies like AI and things like that. So from my perspective globally, that's great. From a local perspective here in Tampa, we just did a recent pro bono project with Tampa Bay Tech. Some of you may be familiar with them, a large professional association of technology companies in Tampa. And they recently announced in November that they're launching an apprentice network. So there's about 8 different founding member companies to start, 25 apprentices committed to for 2025, and we're going to continue to grow that over the next few years. So really excited about that.
So for us, mental health or mental illness is, people ask all the time, what is your number one challenge that you face as an agency? And for us, internally and externally, it's mental health. And what we're doing in the space of mental health internally, we have brought on 2 doctors, medical clinicians, to see all of our personnel, either in a voluntary capacity and in certain positions that we have, it's actually annually required. Because in our professions, some of our people see things that most people should never have to see and experience things and do things that most people should never have to do. So it's very imperative for us that mental health internally is a big deal, but also externally. In the same space, the calls for service over the last few years when it comes to mental health has increased exponentially. So about 70% of the calls for service that we have outside in the community all correlate or have a nexus to mental illness. So in that same space, our deputies, it correlates to training. They go through CIT or crisis intervention training throughout the academy. We have our own academy. So also we put together what we call a behavioral resource unit. So we're not the best trained folks to go deal with people who may be having a psychological episode. So we brought on 12 clinicians. And those 12 clinicians, they work in concert with the deputies. So they go out and they evaluate people. And what we do is we make contact with what we call the high utilizers. So that way we can make contact and be proactive instead of being reactive. So that way we can address the issues before they manifest to be real problems. But that's one set. The training is a big deal. Also, your support. Your support is a big part of our resilience here in Hillsborough County. So you look at the news, anybody can turn on the TV, you see the relationships between law enforcement and the communities they serve. There's about 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the country. We have the 12th largest law enforcement agency right here in Hillsborough County. And there's a reason why you never see any of these toxic relationships between the community and we serve, but it's because of the partnerships and people. I mean, I just be honest, nobody wants to work somewhere where they're not appreciated. And it's no different here in Hillsborough County. We don't have a whole lot of vacancies in our workforce because people feel appreciated in our community. And it's because of the partnerships for everybody in this room and also the folks beyond, outside of this room. But our community is one of the best, and I wouldn't want to do this profession anywhere other than right here in Hillsborough County.
So the last thing, I'm in the district, right? Our business number one priority is students first. But a lot of people in this room right now have employees, staff that actually have a lot of our students in our schools, right? And this alignment and connection that we have and understanding post-hurricanes post-traumatic situations, how do we continue to actually serve our students? So also understanding that we have adults that are struggling in our campuses, making sure they're resilient around what we need to provide for our students on a daily basis, right? So that commitment, understanding, and alignment between workforce partners and how we serve our community and the future of our students, that our number one goal is to get them a standard diploma. But also right now, we're working really, really hard in our vision that's preparing students for life. How does that look like, right? Compare that. Did we finish our job with our standard diploma? No, that's not it. How are we going to educate our students? How are we going to provide exposure? Are we going to have workforce partners make them understand that there's a career after a student, a standard diploma, after they go through our high schools, and make sure that after 13 years in our system, we find something for them that is not only a job but a career that they can move forward. But that's the partnership between everyone here. It doesn't matter the situation that they have. We still serve them every day in our schools, but it's to the benefit of also how you employ their parents, their family members to understand that they provide for them when they walk in our campuses.
As we get really close to getting the hook, because I see Yvonne is over there. Your outlook, right, for 2025, we've just gone through a historic hurricane season, a really mean political season. Your outlook for the new year, how do we get through this in a good way, building resilience after all of this? I'll start with Bimitra, please.
So I have the advantage of spending time with my counterparts from around the country, and I would much rather deal with the challenges we have here than the ones they have in other places, because we're managing growth in Tampa Bay. I mean, all 8 of our counties are continuing to grow. We're managing growth. So I'm very bullish on our community. I think you said it best earlier. One of the reasons we fared so well after the hurricane is because we all know each other. So you don't have to be introduced to United Way or Florida Blue or Baycare or Moffitt or pick a, HCC, pick an entity, because we all already have open dialogue and communication. We still have one of the best communities in the world to live in, and it's just going to get better. The way that I think about our challenges is like a good dish that needs a tad of salt, but it's a really good dish already. And so I think that managing growth and the things that we have here and capitalizing on our relationships so that we can convene and activate collectively is what I'm encouraged about.
It's just a continuation, right? The work doesn't end. We just continue to grow, we continue to learn, we continue to share the experience and collaboration, and how do we connect what we're doing to make sure that we provide for what is needed, right? And I'm just going to speak for my world. What are we doing with our kids? What are we doing with our students? How are we going to grow them? How do we make them understand the opportunities that are out there that can actually help a lot of their families? This district has gone through a change when it comes to the population we serve as well, and we need to adapt and understand that not every kid is going to take the SAT and have a high score. Not every kid will understand that there's 4-year college. There's some students that actually just need to have a job, right? But we want to transfer that word job to career. How can you get a certification? How can you get an entry-level job? How can you grow in a company, in a corporation that's going to make you, support you, and make you better as you mature as an adult? There are a lot of steps that we need to do as partners. We need to start in our business, how to keep growing them with our workforce, CTE, and everything we do with our core classes, but also what are we going to do after? And that's when everyone in this room and everyone else that is interested is so important, that we're committed to what's coming out of our schools, because they're going to be the ones working in our communities. We're not going to be young the entire life. We're already old, some of us, right? Who's going to come up later on and continue to move that work? I was talking for myself. But it's that piece that we need to understand, that cycle needs to continue, but we need to grow the cycle. But we need to adapt. We need to learn about the cycle, who are we serving, and where we're headed.
Philip?
Yeah, I'm very positive on the outlook of this community. You know, as we sit here in the Causeway, in the community room, I'm reminded of there were a lot of challenges in front of us, in front of our neighbors, in front of this community at large. But it exemplifies the way that this community can come together and deal with those challenges in a very dignified, empathetic, and passionate way. And I think that's what has been so inspiring for me, for our team. It's that there's a willingness on behalf of this community to really address what are those underlying, needs and dynamics. And there are many. There are many challenges that we all are faced with in our daily lives, in our businesses, in our community engagement. But having the ability to work across an ecosystem like all of you who cares about making a difference in this community, who cares about making this a more resilient and sustainable community, who cares about the development of our young men and women and providing opportunities, whatever they may be, for future advancement. Nobody in this room did not have, a mentor, a coach, a parent, somebody, many people probably, but somebody guided all of us to be where we are today. And I know that's an obligation and something that I take back and we all take back. How do we give back? How do we spend our time, whether that's volunteering, mentoring, dollars are always appropriate, but developing program and structure to be able to influence lives. So I'm very optimistic, proud to be a part of the region and community at large, and look forward to the future years to come.
Nathan?
I'm also an eternal optimist, so I'm definitely going to say we're going to be okay moving forward. I'm also a big believer in the African Ubuntu philosophy, so if you don't know what that is, go Google it. It means I am because we are, so turning a me to a we, which I think we're all believers in, whether you know what it is or not. So, storms are still going to come. They're probably not going to get lighter, or they're going to get harder. I know that, the state, the county, the city, communities are working about it, but it's also accountability on each and every one of us to kind of figure out what is our part in that future next year. What is our part when the next storm happens? If you didn't go out and volunteer this round of storms, I challenge you to go out and give back on the next one. But yeah, I think we'll be okay as long as we do it together.
Colonel?
So I think we're in exceptionally great shape. So I'll start with, everybody talked about growth, and going back to my good friend Yvonne, what she said earlier, that everyone should feel safe today. Everyone should feel safe every day. We have a 12.7% reduction in crime overall in Hillsborough County right now, year to date, on top of the 8.2% reduction in crime that we had last year. And that's important because we saw the county grow 11% last year, almost 1,000 people moving to the Florida area, in the central Florida area, majority of those people moving to the central Florida area. And then we expect another 12% of people to come to Hillsborough County next year. So I think part of that is growth, but the other part of it is being innovative, making sure we continue to stay ahead of, in our profession, to stay ahead of the criminals as far as being innovative and how we can solve crimes faster. And Sheriff Cronster has been committed to that. Last year we stood up our DNA, or not our DNA lab, our firearms lab, so that way we can correlate firearm cases to other cases and compare those cases, so that way we can identify suspects quicker. But moving forward, Sheriff Cronster is working on a DNA lab. So there's only one DNA lab for the state. So FDLE does all the DNA analysis for the state of Florida. And they subsequently do all the analysis for all the smaller agencies. Why that's important is, so sexual assault kits, your rape kits. So about a year ago, it hit the news that it took about 18 months to get sexual assault kits analyzed. So that's 18 months that we don't know who the potential suspect is, and there could be potentially more people being victimized. So us standing up our own DNA lab is going to get us a faster return, so that way we can make sure that people don't continue to be victimized, and we can put the people and hold them accountable that need to be held accountable much sooner and much more efficiently. So, and then the last piece of it is just intentional relationships. Continue to build the intentional relationships. But Sheriff Cronster really subscribes to Frederick Douglass, a quote from Frederick Douglass, which is, "It's easier to build stronger children than to repair broken men." And that's important for us because there's no benefit for any juvenile to be in our juvenile justice system. And the things that we've done to prevent that, the partnership that we have with the Boys and Girls Club, and 7 underserved communities that we currently have right now, where we've seen graduation rates. And how do you quantify it? We've seen graduation rates go from 42% to 100%. 99% of those kids never get introduced to the juvenile justice system because of that partnership. So how do you quantify what true success is the growth of our youth. And I think some people get the narrative mixed up, and they think that a lot of people are looking for a handout. But the reality is that there's a lot of kids that's standing there with their hand up, just asking for an opportunity, asking to be loved. And thank you for Future Career Academy for providing that opportunity. And thank you for all the sponsors and the folks in this room for making that possible.
And that, my friends, is a tough act to follow. Thank you so much, all of you, for your expertise, for your compassion, and for your leadership. Again, our community is so special because of the people in it, so thank you. Thank you. And with that, I am going to turn things over to Yvonne. As she gives her kisses and hugs, I just want to say one more thing, and that is, please plug in, get connected, engage with others. This community has wonderful businesses that work together, and there's so much power in belonging and working together. It's when we engage in these partnerships that we can really move the needle and help families. And so on behalf of the Tampa Bay Chamber, we thank you for your continued support. So many of you are chamber member companies. This afternoon, I'm joined by Nzinga Barnett, who is our new Director of Advocacy, and she's joining me today. Tomorrow's a big day for us. There she is. Tomorrow's a big day for us, our annual meeting, and more than 700 people. Hopefully, I may have to wear the same dress again, but that's okay. But thank you again. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being the leaders that you are.
Thank you. Would you all give Lizette a big round of applause? If you think about what she's been through, we have some flowers for you. I know that seems like a small token, but just wanted to give a little bit of sunshine in your life of what you're dealing with and wish you the best tomorrow. Thank you all for being here. I hope that you found the inspiration and innovation. Our panelists, all of those that shared thoughts and reflections today, we're grateful. It is all through partnership, and together we can build a stronger, more resilient community. Thank you again. Have a great day and a wonderful 2025.